Awesome. So we're going to do a little review of the authentication with Django. Let me just close my mini tabs. So I started off with this application. I've been working on it a little bit. I haven't done much. I just connected the two, the front end and the back end, and let's kind of just run the servers and see what's going on. So I'm gonna just build my front end. I'm gonna run back end, and then we're gonna see what is there. It just says CP portal, nothing fancy. Okay, so we want to set up our authentication. So we are probably going to need some URLs. I have a few that I've defined here. I have sign up, login, log out, and who am I? These are the 4 main ones that I'm probably going to need to use. Okay, before we get started and write code, do you guys have any specific questions that you want to ask, or like certain things you want to make sure to touch on?
Are we? Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Gabo.
All right. Are we storing this data? Are we interfacing with the database
Yes,
in this
we are.
example? Cool.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Yeah.
If we are building a single page application in React, do we still need the URLs on the back end to handle authentication?
Yes, because the URLs on the backend will handle the actual like logging in, logging out with the user model.
Right. And everything else you could essentially do on the front end through browser router.
Yes, the front end routes should be just for going to the pages and stuff like that.
Okay.
And then and then when you make your Axios call, it's going to go to your backend URLs.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So I guess before we look at the views, we should look at the user model. So I can use the built-in, I'm just gonna, we'll talk about it in a bit. So I can use the built-in user that Django provides us. If we've kind of seen what they provide. The Django user model provides us with like email, username, password, first name, last name, all that stuff. So in a lot of cases, it won't quite fit what we want. So these are all the fields that come built in. So if this doesn't quite match exactly what we want for our application, we were going to need to define our own. So there's a few ways of doing this. You can either inherit from abstract user, which is what we're going to do today. And we can basically use what they have defined, but we can either modify the existing ones or add different ones to it. Another way is to reference a user. So if I created an app user that does not inherit, so just a completely new user, I'm actually going to stop this server, completely new user, I would have to create a field here called user, and this will be the user coming in from the model. So if I import user, I can say this one is a user, and it's going to be like a one-to-one field, basically. 1 to, I forgot, sort of one. There's an example of it in the write-up, which I'm not going to really show right now. But that's one of the ways to do it. You can either create your own and reference a user. So your user model will have a one-to-one relationship with the Django built-in one. Or you can just inherit the abstract user into your model and just build off of that. There is an abstract base user that is different than abstract user. Abstract base user doesn't have any of the fields except when you are creating a user, it does the password hashing automatically. So that is the one thing that that helps us with.
Then I have a question though about that user. I have
Yeah.
noticed that we've been using line 15 a lot, and
Line
the
15.
abstract
Okay.
user, yeah, the abstract user already have and is active and set to true already. So why do we have to put line 15 there?
We do not need this.
Okay.
Yeah, this wasn't an example. I think it was set to false, and then we had to set it to true because it was giving issues. So yeah, if it's automatically being set to true, you don't really have to do anything with it. You can just keep it as it is. But if it's not automatically, so is active, I think it was taking it off of this. Let me see, if staff is active. Yeah. Yeah, you were saying it does get default as a default, it goes to true, right?
Yeah, go back on your init.py.
So
Yeah.
I had
One
that line when I did the migration. That's why I'm not trusting this. But sorry.
Okay. That's what you're saying. So line 31, you believe that it was not there before?
Yeah. But I'm not sure if that was from before or it was because of that one line. But I'm guessing that it does it on its own, so we don't really need to define anything else. But if we wanted to do like, I don't know, address or whatever other field, we can add it here because we're defining our own. The reason I added email here is because email is in the built-in one. Email is optional, but here I want it to be unique, and I want to kind of use this email as my username. So when I want to log in, I want to be able to use my my email. Yeah, so we don't have to specify a password because it's already built in. So we don't really need to change anything with those. Any questions about the model? I know we've gone over this stuff before. So username field is what field am I going to be, what kind of data am I using to authenticate this user? So if I want to log in, I'm going to need a username and a password. Can I just send in the email? Or this allows me to just send in the email to authenticate instead of the username. Required fields, email and password are required by default, so you don't need to add these at all. So me setting email as the username, that made that required by default, so I don't need to do that. If I add another field that I want required, I can add it in here. I saw a hand of Louis, yes.
I'm sorry, but can you explain what's line 11 verbose underscore name? Can it just be name, or is it just because you picked it?
I think I'm actually not sure. This was in notes earlier. So verbose name, I think there's specific contexts where you would need to use the verbose, like a human readable name for this field. Let me see. It's a built-in field validation. Okay, it's for validation basically. So you don't really need it because we're not using validation on the front end with, actually, never mind. Okay, I think since this is an email field, if Django is trying to validate to make sure that the email that was sent in is an actual email and the validation fails, so you didn't actually send in an email, it would use this verbose name in the error, pretty much. So it's just a more human readable error. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but if we were to just to name it that would be okay too.
This to name this name or verbose?
Yeah, that.
No, this is a built-in name. This is an actual,
Oh,
yeah.
okay,
Of course. I can actually remove that because we're not going to use it right now. Okay, any other questions? Awesome. So we have our user. Because we create our app like our own defined app user, we have to add it into our settings. So settings, I'm going to scroll down. I think I already added it. Yes. So I've added an auth user model, and I specify my app name dot app user because that is what I named it. I named it app user. Okay. And like we said before, we are using a database, a Postgres database, so we can actually see stuff being created. Okay. So I'm going to make the migration and then migrate. So one thing you might run into if you migrated with the base authentication, so with the built-in user, and then you created a user and then you tried to migrate, a lot of times like it gets into a weird state where it cannot take you from the state of using the built-in Django user to the user that you defined. So sometimes you have to drop your database and recreate it and then run the migrations again. In certain situations, you might have to remake the migration. So you might have to just delete this initial file. You don't want to do this once your application is like up and running, but in the beginning when we're setting up, it's okay if you have to do this. It's not ideal, but sometimes you have to just because of the initial setup. Once you have yeah.
I have a quick question really quick.
Mhm.
So why do you set the auth user model again in the settings.py?
Because we want Django to know that we have specified one that we want it to use. So if we don't specify it to be used, it's going to use the built-in one.
Right. So okay, so that's a way for them to authenticate, or is that something completely different?
Yes, it is a way for the authentication to work. So if when we're actually writing our views and trying to do like the login, log out, all that stuff, it'll allow us to use this app user model as our user. And it'll, so on the back end, it has like the abstract user has certain methods that are tied to it. So it'll kind of just allow the authentication through this app user. So we just have to let Django know that we're using our own one.
Okay, cool, thanks.
Okay, where was I? I'm going to drop the database, create it. I'm just gonna make the migrations. And then I'm going to migrate. Awesome. Seems like everything went through. Let's see what tables it created. I guess we can see it here. I can open SQL. Okay. So we have auth group. So if we didn't create this user, it would have created its own user, app user. But since we created an app user, it has created a table for us, and we're able to see it here. And if we do, what is it? CP app user. Okay, so the table is empty. I mean, this is just what the table looks like. I think if we do /t. Okay, never mind. I forget the. Okay. So our table was created. Now let's try to make a post request and create a user to sign up. So first of all, we need to specify, we already specified our URLs, like I said. We have sign up, log in, log out, and who am I? And in my views, I just have it scaffolded out. I didn't really implement them yet. So let's start with the sign up. With our sign up, we are going to, what do we want to do? Basically, can someone just give me the rundown of what the sign up flow is?
You're going to want to make sure that you have your required fields for sign up. So when you go to post, it doesn't throw any errors saying you don't have what it needs.
Okay. So we're basically getting some information. We're going to want to create something, right?
Yes. So like username. Oh yeah, you try. Yeah.
And then accept. Okay. So we can just go ahead and try creating the user with the information that we're expecting. And then if it doesn't work, then we can catch the exception. Okay. So with a request, we're specifying here with the API view decorator that we are only going to accept post requests to this method. So our /signup. So our signup URL is only going to accept post requests. So we are going to need to create a user. I'm going to import the user that I created, the user model that I created. So from .models, import AppUser. I can give it an alias, maybe say as user, or I cannot. I'll just keep it as AppUser. So with my sign up, I want to try to create this AppUser. So AppUser.objects.create create underscore user. So all methods usually have like a regular create method. All models, sorry, usually have a create method. AppUser specifically, because we're inheriting from the abstract user, it has a create user method where if you send in a password, it automatically hashes your password and you don't have to worry about doing that. So it handles stuff for you. So here I can say username. So one weird behavior is, even though we mentioned that we want our email to be used as authentication as the username field, the create user method is still going to expect a username. That is, yeah, that's just the built-in behavior. So where is our username going to be coming from? So we have a username, we have a password, we have an email. Where are these coming from?
From view.
The request, you said?
Yes.
Yeah, so request, how do I access that data?
Request.data
Mm-hmm.
to whatever you send from the front end.
Yeah, so it's gonna be in the square brackets. So if my so let's say my app is, I'm not going to take a username from people. I'm just going to take an email. So I can just use email here, and I can use it as well for here. This doesn't matter. This just comes down to the way you want to implement your own application.
Just out of curiosity, why is it square bracket notation, not dot notation here?
It's the data comes in as a dictionary. I think you might be able to. Can we do email like this? We might be able to. We'll test it out and see. Password request dot data dot email, not email dot password. Oh, I forgot to open the chat, by the way. Sorry, guys. Seems like it's open. Okay. You're saying, Gabo, you're saying it's the dot notation is not working? It never works for you?
Yeah, no, I don't think it works like that. I was just curious
Yeah.
why we need to use square bracket here.
Yeah, square brackets is because it comes in as a dictionary. So I think this was the better way to do it. Okay. So we're taking an email, password, email. I can actually just take in a username since it's required on the back end. Might as well make the front end send me a username. And then if the front end wants to send me the email as a username, that's okay too. Okay, so we're gonna try to create this user. If it works, then that's great. If it doesn't, we're gonna get an exception, and then let's print this exception. And then we can send back a JSON response. So if it worked, JSON response, I can just send back success is true. Okay, and then I can send back success is false for the second one. Fix the indentation. Okay, so this should allow me to do the sign up. Now I need to be able to test it out. So I have to go to my my front end. Okay, I'm gonna go to app.jsx. Kayla, I know you were asking about best practices about putting the authentication in the app, like in the main page. I'm not 100% sure. I believe so. What I think usually happens is you have a login page, you have a logout page, and each of those will handle those specific calls. So like the login page will have the Axios call to do the login, and then logout page will have the Axios page the Axios call to do the logout.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm gonna create, let's do this header, sign up. Not what I want to do. Okay, doesn't matter. This code is going to look very ugly, but that's okay. So I'm going to create a form. I'm going to put an input. I'm going to call this, I always forget if I need to put this for input. Let's actually, because we're already at 4:30, instead of doing the form, I'm just gonna show the actual calls so we can get through all the implementations and then we can add the form. Okay. So let's do our first one, which is going to be, hold on. Sorry, I'm grabbing some reference code. Not for this one specifically, but I feel like I'm gonna need it. Okay. That did not help, sorry. Okay, I'm just gonna make a function. I can name this sign up. And I already have Axios imported, so I should be able to just use it. So I'm gonna do Axios dot, what's the type? Post. Post. My path is going to be login. My data that I need to send in is going to be the information that I need, right? I'm going to send in a username. This username is going to be, I don't know. Say email. Okay, and then password. Okay, so we're gonna do a post. I don't want to deal with making this an async function. Actually, I can, but okay, I'm just gonna do a dot then. It's okay. Dot then. Okay, and then I'm gonna grab the response. Send it into this function. It's gonna put this on its own line. Okay. And then we're just gonna console log the response to see what happens. Okay. I'm gonna do that. I'm just gonna add a button here to trigger that. Button. Sign up. And I'm going to do an on-click function that will just call the sign. Okay, so this will be the sign up function. I'm hard coding these, so usually you're going to grab them from your form elements and then put them in here. Okay, so now when I click the button, I should be able to go to that. This is already running, but I might as well run it again in case. Oops, I didn't need to my right. Run server. Okay. Go back to my local host. I see my button. I'm going to open my network tab just to see requests. So we have our basic request. I'm going to sign up. Got a 500, which is an internal server error usually. So let's look back at our server. Expected an HTTP response for
Did we import JSON response?
I thought I had it up here. Yeah, I have it.
Are you returning the JSON response?
Thank you. That'll do it. Okay. Let me refresh. Sign up. Okay. Oh, it went to login. That is my bad. So yeah, it's going to /login, which is not what I wanted to go to. Wrong URLs. Okay. Gonna go back to my app. It's not /login, it's going to be sign up. I think that should have built already. Gonna refresh. Okay. The button clicked, but nothing happened.
Was there an underscore in sign up?
Yeah, it looked like it was working. The backend terminal shows that you got a duplicate already.
Yeah, so it looks like duplicate key. I pressed it twice, so I think the first one worked, but the response log did not have. Oh, actually, I wasn't looking at the log. I forgot. Okay, so we got back data success true. Okay, so we were able to get it, and then on the second one, I clicked it again. It returned success equals false because I made it so the email has to be unique. Like each one has to be unique. So okay, seems like we were able to sign up, which is good. So if we get what was I going to show? If we look at the database, select star from AppUser, semicolon. Okay, we see here that there was one record created. This is our password hashed. So we have our hashing algorithm, how many iterations were made, the salt that they used, and then the actual hash, which is cool. Okay, and we didn't supply a first name, last name, or anything, so they're all just empty. Okay, awesome. Any questions? No. Pretty straightforward with the sign up. Okay, so let's now that we've signed up, let's try to do our login functionality. So I'm just going to create a similar one with login. So this is on our app. Here, the post request is going to go to login. I'm going to send in an email and a password. And then we'll see what the response is. And then I'm going to add a button to do the login. Okay, then I can go into my views and actually implement my login function. So with my login, I'm going to grab an email and a password. Password. So my email is going to be, as we saw before, request.data will give me access to the data that was sent over. And I can use it with this and just grab the email that I need. And then with password, I can just send in, grab same thing. Password. And so when we want to actually authenticate, we can say user equals authenticate. So there's a method that we can pull in from the auth library. So I have imported authenticate, login, and log out. So authenticate, we will check to see if this user is valid, basically. Authenticate. And I'm going to be sending in a username. And this username is going to be my email, because that's what I had said to be used. And my password is going to be equal to the password. Okay, so user. So this, just because we authenticated doesn't mean that our user, our user is logged in. So we have to authenticate first. We can print out, what's it called? User.email, maybe. Let's see if that works. It'll get to here. It'll probably, I'm not going to return anything. Just going to return regular. And it'll probably give me an error later, but it's okay. Okay, so this is still running. Yeah, cool. Okay, so I'm gonna trigger the login just to see what if the user actually authenticates. Refresh, I log in. Okay, so this might be the error of yeah, not returning. So I'm gonna just scroll up to see what it printed out, and it printed out the email. Awesome. So this means that it found the user that I'm looking for. And now I can say, if the user is not none, then I can log in. So if user is not none, user, oh, ID, this is if, okay. So if user is not none, I could also check if user dot is active. So is active is going to tell us whether this person should be allowed to log in or not also. So try, we can put it in a try cat or in a try block, and we can say login, and we can give it a request. So we have to send in our HTTP request, and then we are going to send in our authenticated user. And this will log in this user. And we use the request because it changes something in the headers. And that's where we can see like our session. I believe this is where we can see like our session information. That's like when we log in, it changes the headers. And then I can accept. Yazid, yes, we can put line 30 and 31 on one, but we are not going to, just because we want to have like granular responses basically. So we want to tell whoever we're sending back the information like an actual reason why this isn't working for them. So it'll make a little more sense in a sec. So basically, if we weren't able to log in, then we can, what are we going to do? We are going to, let's try to find the better response code for this. We can just print the exception. I think I have to cast it as a string. And we can return Json response saying Success is false. I need to stop the server so it doesn't keep updating. Okay. So I can say that success was false. I can send in a reason. So this is why I think like having the nested if statements would help, because we can actually specify a reason for things. So for this reason, this is just login failed because we've already checked that the user is active. We've already checked that there is an authenticated user, but here it just, the login itself failed, it didn't work, and we're not sure why. Okay, so if this happens, then we can return success equals true. So if we were able to log in and we don't need a reason. And then, oops. So we did a try except. So the else for the is active. This is probably going to be success is false. The reason is user is not active. User is not active. And then the last one we can say. What would the last one be?
User doesn't exist.
Yeah. User does not exist. Okay, I'm going to remove this return. And I think that is good. We can test it out. Let me run my server again. Okay. Let me do that. Oops. That was not pleasant. Okay, cool. So if I do login, I get a response back. Success is true. So let me show here real quick. Let's see. I don't know if okay, so I'm already logged in because I logged in. So even if I refreshed, it's still logged in. So session ID here is for the session I'm currently in. And if I wanted to show you guys before I do this, I'm just going to open a new, see if in a new tab it would work, or if it would hold on to that information.
Try an incognito tab because that should ignore the cookies, right?
That, yes, that's so smart. Yes. I move this over. Localhost. I'm going to open my, yeah, let's look at the network tab. So for the base, I'll just move this up. I don't have any cookies. I'm not logged in. Nothing is set up. If I sign up, I'm gonna get the like, oh, you can't sign up with this user because you don't have a unique ID. So probably we should send back a reason for the sign up failures as well. But now if I hit login, where is it? Did not show. Uncaught in promise. That request. Why? Okay, well, it was just working. So that is, doesn't know like the incognito tab. we'll get back to this one. Let's see this one. Make sure it works still. Should still have. Okay, so it's still logged in. Let's do a log out and actually see the difference between those. And then we'll figure out why the other tab is not working.
Zainab, I got a quick question about the views for the sign. The one we were just working on,
Mhm.
the sign in,
Mhm.
or login.
Yeah.
Where was it? What line are we on? It's the part where, the built-in login method and then you takes in request and user. In some of the demos and notes and in some of the videos that I was following, I've been doing it with request._request and then a comma user.
Oh,
I don't,
yeah, I might have.
I'm not exactly positive why I've been doing that, but I was hoping that, I don't know, you'd have an answer.
So I believe the underscore request is the original base request that was sent in. So we've mentioned this before, I think briefly. The API view modifies the request object that is sent in. So if I'm not mistaken, the ._request is the original.
Okay.
That's the original one that was sent in before the modifications. And that is the one that we're sending in here. So maybe that's why my incognito tab was not working.
Maybe.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Should that request._request, should that be in most of those, like for login, log out? Is that like best practice for those built-in methods?
I've only seen it. So I have an example that I'm going off of, and I've seen like in one case they use with the ._request, and then in the other case it just uses request. So I believe either of them can be used because it was working earlier. It was able to log me in. Okay, now it works. Okay, so I guess the underscore one might be better in certain situations. Yeah, I'm gonna have to look into this. I honestly don't know why it works and doesn't work with the other one. Okay, let's add a logout button. Where am I? App. Okay, app.jsx. I'm gonna copy this. I'm gonna call this logout. Logout. Yeah, Kayla, we might have to keep using the ._request. Okay, so I created the button. I actually need to create the function now. So here, log in, log out. Log out. For the logout method itself, I don't believe I have too many tabs open here. Okay, so for our logout, yeah, we don't actually have to send in anything because we're just logging out and the session information is already being captured in the requests that we have. So Django handles all that session stuff with the requests that we have. That's why we're using the request to log in or log out. So we don't really have to send in, go into this. We don't have to send in anything with our logout request. We're gonna grab the response and then we can just print it out. We then are going to implement the logout function. So for the logout function, what do we have to do? Just log out, I'm guessing. So log out, and I'm just going to send in the request _request. And that is it. So after, oops, log out, I can return a JSON. I guess I can put this in a try catch. So try log out. Yeah, and then accept. Just gonna send or copy this one over basically. So here we're able to log out properly. We're gonna send success is true. No reason. And then the accept. Turn false, and I'm just gonna say not able to log out, but it should work. So okay, logging out, we can test this out now. So let's check here. Sign up, we know already works. Log in, let's check if, okay, person is still logged in. We do log out. That didn't work. Uncaught promise, failed request, error. I think it's very possible that it's because of the Cserve stuff. Because I forgot to set my Cserve token at the top of my file, which might be the issue here. I've showed how to do this. I'm just going to copy the code. I'll send it to you guys as well. I'm going to put it here at the top to set up Axios. So I'm just going to grab basically the Cserve token and put it in the header when I'm sending stuff. Okay. So I'm going to restart my server. Front end is fine. Okay. Let's start. So it grabbed a token. Gonna look at my network tab. Looks like I still have a session. That's session ID has been rejected because it had already expired. Okay, that's okay. So login worked. If I log out, bad request. What is happening? Request failed with a 403, Axios error. Okay, response. The Cserve failed Cserve token from the Cserve token header was incorrect. Interesting. Okay. So it did not like my token. Okay, so if I log in twice, it doesn't like that, which makes sense. It's already logged in. If I refresh, I have a session ID, I have my Cserve token. I think it needs to get the Cserve token after I'm logged in, because that might change things. Let's see if I log out. What, did that work? Okay, I think I was able to log out actually. Let's see, yeah, so it's not logged in anymore. That was weird. Okay, let's try it again. Log in. Log out. I can't see any of the network stuff. Okay. Did anyone else run into this stuff when they were implementing it? I think I might have to. I'm gonna do this. So I'm gonna take this out. I defined this function up here, that's fine. I'm going to, I guess before my logout, set it, and then we'll see what happens. What did I do? Oh. So forbidden. Log in. I think I'm already logged in. Okay. Log in, log out. Okay, log in, log out worked. And then if I log in again, I can do it. Log out. Okay. So now it seems like it's working. I think the issue was that it was grabbing the Cserve token before we had logged in. And I think after logging in, they change it to something different, because you have a Cserve token when you're not authenticated. So there's, I think, a not authenticated user and then an authenticated user. So after doing the login, you're able to access the proper one, which is a little annoying. Questions? You know, I kind of been zooming through it.
I've got a question. Oops,
Go
go
ahead.
ahead. So I've got a question. On the React side of the house, is there a way to check if the user is logged in? Like, how do you check for the session ID, or how do you check to make sure that, hey, somebody's logged in?
If there's a session token, then they're going to be logged in. You could also create this who am I function, which I'm honestly just going to grab from here so I can. So this who am I route can grab your request user if they're authenticated. And then you can serialize the data. So the serializer basically takes a data model that we have. So we have our user, it's in the form of a model, because that's what we defined, right? I'm actually going to delete this line because it's the same, it's a duplicate. So a serializer allows you to it allows you to transform an object of a certain type to a different type. So here I'm making it into a JSON object, and I'm sending in the user that is attached to my request, so whoever's logged in, and you can specify which fields of that information actually get sent over. If I wanted everything to get sent over, I wouldn't have this here, but that would include the password, and I don't really want to send the password hash with it. So I'm going to serialize the data. I'm going to send it in with a JSON response. And then we're going to see we can call this function is going to do, we're just also going to grab this one because it's faster than typing. Okay. So who am I? It's a function. I'm going to okay. Going to comment this out. Oops. And I'm going to comment this out. So I'm just going to print out the response. Okay. So I'm just going to do a get to who am I? And that will return the user information for whoever's logged in at the moment. So that is a way that you can check who is logged in or if there is anyone logged in. So I can do this. I can use a use effect. Use effect, I don't need a return right now. This is going to be empty. And I'm just going to do who am I? So this will call this who am I function when the app first renders. Another time where I want it to check who am I is after I do after I do a logout. So logout. Who am I? I'm gonna say here I am send the response as well. Don't want this to cause any weird behavior, so I am going to just do this. Okay, so this who am I function is just going to get called to get the user. I can test it out. I'll just add a button actually. Yeah, let me remove this call. So I'm just going to add a button to trigger the who am I just to check. So I'll click. That's what I named it, right? No. Okay, here we go. And then this is who am I? Okay, so that's saved. If I refresh my page now, I have not imported use effect. Okay, that'll go up here. Use effect. So typically when I would do a who am I would send, so here I would save the information that's coming from the response into a user, and then I can set state. So I can have a state called user, and I can set that information to the user that I've retrieved. So here I am, and then this is the response that I got. So the user is null because I don't have a user that's logged in yet. So if I do login, okay, so says success is true. If I hit who am I again, that should not have happened. So axios.get is oh, here. Okay, so the issue, never mind, I was overcorrecting. In order to allow non-dictionary objects to be serialized, set the safe parameter to false. Oops. I guess certain objects have a safe parameter. So user dot, or sorry, request dot user dot safe. I don't know actually how to set this.
The safe has to be set in the function that you call serializer.serialize.
Mhm.
Is inside that you do a safe equal false
Where?
after the field.
Oh, okay. So it's an actual, I see.
Yeah.
Is underscore safe?
No, you just put safe equal false or true.
Safe, okay. Safe equals false or true. All right, true. Okay, so let's do this again. I wonder if this is the same. Okay, log out. We're logged out. Who am I? I am user null. So if I log in, I'm able to log in. If I do who am I get another error, which okay, unexpected argument safe. So it didn't like, the serializer didn't like the safe argument. Is it a serializer? Where's the find? Oh, here. Okay. So it's in the Json response. Okay. So here, and then I can put it. It's false. I actually didn't check. I didn't fully read the Stack Overflow post, but I'm hoping that it's going to work. Just because I'm already over time. Okay. So it got the who am I because I'm already logged in. Awesome. So it sent this data in this form. We have to just read it in a better way. Okay, so if I log out, I do who am I get a user.null. If I log in, and then I do who am I, then I get the model information, which is cool. There's better ways to do this, so we can play around with that later. But yeah, questions.
I have a quick one. If you do, what is it called? The way where like you go to each of the page and it rebuffers like the URLs. I've having the issue that it will like say that I'm not signed in when I use like that repath. Can you throw that in real quick to see if it does the same thing when you're signed in? And
oh, yeah, one sec. Let me just plug in my charger.
because all I do is import repath and put it at as the last path. And it just will say that no one signed in or like no user.
That might be a security measure, honestly. Not in this one, right? This one. Repath, could you send me the line? Or sorry, repath. Thank you. Okay, so now you're saying. So if I have this in, it won't log in or log out, or
So it'll still let me do it, but it just won't say no, like it, there's just no object.
data doc type, okay.
And then
I
try to do refresh. Oh, well, I guess you're at the base, so I guess either way, it's the same for me.
No, but it sent, yeah, so instead of sending the user who is authenticated, it's sending like the HTML doc instead.
Yes, that's what it did for mine too.
Okay, I see. It's because so it usually takes the data that's inside of the request, but the read path is going to views.index, and the index is not using this request to do anything. I don't know. Because in the response, we're sending this HTML page, and that is what it's using. Yeah, I'm gonna need to look into that actually.
Okay, yeah, that's like one thing I've just been ignoring because I couldn't get it working, so just been
Yeah.
moving on.
Yeah, like Darius is saying, the index is returning the app itself, like all the JavaScript part. So yeah, we might need to, to look into this a little more.
Okay, I'm glad I'm not crazy.
No, not at all. Any other questions?